We've been very fortunate to have some world stars of motorsport in the 22-23 edition of the KTM Summer Grill here at speedcafe.com. Today, we thought we'd take a little bit of a change of direction and focus on some great qualities that you need to pursue something in motorsport that you're passionate about. True grit is one of them. This story is one of an Aussie who at age 48 decided he wanted to tick a few bucket list things on the world stage around events like Dakar, and he's about to embark on the FIM World Baja Championships as well. It is great to welcome back to the grill Andrew Houlihan. How are you?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Frank. Really good.
So can we start with the fact that you won't be at Dakar, sadly, in 2023? How do you feel about not being a part of such a big event and one that is pretty close to your heart?
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing after being at the last two Dakars. I think we made the right choice this year to withdraw. Obviously, the injuries I sustained last year at Dakar were reasonably substantial, so it's given me enough time to recover and look for a big year in 2023 and be back at Dakar in 2024.
Can we reflect a little bit on those prior two Dakars? I mean, the one I immediately think of is effectively 2 years ago, where you came back with a broken wrist, effectively went straight into quarantine. You weren't able to see a doctor at that stage. You kind of had to tough it out until you'd done the quarantine. Am I right?
Yeah, had same as David. We both went into quarantine before we could get any surgery when we got back. So, 2 weeks lockdown and real pleasant.
No, not at all. What about the most recent iteration? The tough part was that you went in nursing some rib injuries and you were able to play for a little while, but understandably, once they found out about those injuries, they sort of had to force your hand from a safety perspective, didn't they?
Yeah, look, they made the right decision. The ribs were they snapped off my spine, so the two that are completely snapped. But I had a badly fractured collarbone and also tore my bicep muscle off. I was struggling bad. I was managing to stay on the bike, but from their point of view, they made the right decision. If I had an accident throughout the race, the lung was going to puncture sooner or later. So, in hindsight, they made the right decision.
You're proudly from the Riverina region, right? As I understand it, at age 48, after having done pretty well in business and things like that, you decide to have a crack at Dakar. Walk us through that process and how you came to this decision, and did anyone try and talk you out of it?
No, look, initially it wasn't Dakar. We wanted to try the rally racing. My wife and I had no experience at off to Greece, the Hellas Rally. Try it out. It started off really good, and on the last day of Hellas Rally, I just had the bad accident in Greece for a month. We returned 8 months later to a race in Spain, and I could never let people that we were with previously. Then we hatched the plan that we should go to Dakar. And we joked about that Dakar's like going to Vegas, betting $100,000 or $500,000 on red or white. More percentage of people finish, and it's worth risking all that money. But we thought we'd be smart. We had a 3-year plan, and we did a lot of training in Morocco, racing up the Greco rates, did all the qualifying events, and built up a really good foundation to get to Dakar. And yeah, it was really worked the effort.
How all-consuming was that, Andrew, and how big are the learnings? Because it's not like you're just taking your dirt bike down the road from Albury and cutting some laps. You're talking about going onto the world stage to places that you haven't maybe been to all that often, or even been to before. You don't know them like the back of your hand. You're trying to do logistics. This is not an easy mission, is it?
It was crazy, yeah, and it's still crazy now, even doing what I'm doing. But yeah, I was in and out of the country every 6 or 8 weeks, going here to Europe, to Morocco, to caught in different environments I've never been exposed to before. I think it really hit home when I got to the first qualifying race at Rally du Maroc, the FIM World Champs, and realised the next level that you've got to step up to, and what you had to really put on the line to qualify for Dakar. So, it's been uncomfortable over the last few years, and I don't think next year's going to be any easier.
That leads me, I mean, you've sort of gone there in your answer about it's clearly still not box ticked for you. Maybe it's whet your appetite. You still want to do a few more Dakars. That's pretty clear, Andrew, is it?
It's definitely got more Dakars to go. The goal of how many Dakars I want to do, but I'm 54 now, so I've got to do things, tick some boxes off quickly. Next year, I'm going to have 8 or 9 races overseas prior to Dakar, so I think I'm going to have a preparation for 20.
How do you go from it's a sport that has such great camaraderie. I think you've had a bit of an association with Toby Price, for example, and that's even helped you away from competition, hasn't it?
Yeah, and guys like Toby, not just Toby, that everyone involved in this sport is amazing. And the thing I found about the rally racing, the motorcycle in particular, is there's no pecking order. Guys like Toby, they don't feel any more important than anyone else. They're there to help, they'll stop. I noticed that every Dakar I've been at a fuel stop or a liaise, when Toby gets a chance to pull up on the bike, there you go, mate, anything, to hand with anything. Yeah, it's invaluable to have someone like that offering to assist.
If you're comfortable, can you share with our readers and our viewers a bit about the crash you had in the lead up, I think it was, to last year's event? You go for a bit of training, I think riding with some mates in the Riverina area there, and you came off at something like 150 k's an hour, and the bike effectively, if I have this story right, Andrew, was split in two. Is that right?
Yeah, it was. It was a bit of an early morning training ride. I went back over with 4 or 5 mates, but maybe 5 or 10 minutes behind me. I hit a kangaroo. A bit over, 2 kangaroos going well over 100 an hour. The bike was snapped in half. I was thrown 40 or 50 metres. That's where I snapped the ribs off the spine and punctured my lung. They're fairly big injuries from that accident. That put a real dent on the Dakar preparation.
So is it bittersweet in that sense for you for this year, because that natural lack of preparation because of those injuries, it does very sadly sound like the right thing not to go to Dakar this time round.
Yeah. This year, we were still toying with the idea, and I've had a few surgeries and quite a bit of metal put back into my shoulder and arm, rebuilt it, and now it's as strong as it can be. But I haven't had that time on the bike. You talk to guys like Toby and Chucky that you finish Dakar, you pretty much got to start preparing. You're getting 4 or 5 weeks afterwards. A year on the process to get ready for that one race. So I haven't had the preparation.
So instead, you're taking aim at something a little different, the 2023 FIM World Baja Championships. Just tell people that may not necessarily know about it a bit about this project.
The FIM Baja Champs, they're held in the Middle East and in Europe, 8 rounds. Navigational like Dakar, so we still use a road book. We have the rounds in the Middle East in June, which is late, and then the European round, Spain, Portugal, Italy. The bit more enduro with some sort of off-piste and sections. It's a good event for me because they go for 3 to 4 days. Might out of the country too long, but it's what difference to Dakar. But that Dakar, you've got 14 days, so you've got a bit of time to make up the errors. You start off, work your way into the race. The Baha's you've got 3 days and you can't make the state. So it's flat out to make one.
What are your expectations in a realistic sense, knowing that you're recovering from injury? Great thing to go and tackle. What would you like to walk away with at the end of that?
That's a good question. I've got some expectations what I think are realistic. I've entered in the Pro 450 class, the rally class, and also in the World Bets Championship. That's the one I'm really aiming for the Ollie. I'd like to work right in the top 5 of the world pets. If I can finish in the top 10 of the rally pass, that's pretty cool. But top 5 is definitely the goal in the world championship.
We wish you well with that. Before we let you go, invariably this requires a small team of people to execute this, and your wife in particular has been with you every step of the way on what's been a roller coaster, Andrew, hasn't she?
Yeah, Katie's been there from day one. Had a question for Dan. She's so supportive. We had an incident last night. We're trying to air freight flight from Athens to Saudi with the stop built back. And I was horrified that people think about the issue, but just smiled and said, we're in too deep now. I've got to keep going. So, yeah, Katie's she's the backbone of everything we do.
Thank you for taking the time to chat with us here on the KTM Summer Grill. It's a great story, Andrew, for people that are perhaps sitting back watching and wondering if they should have a go at something in life that is on their bucket list. Well done for getting out there and giving it a crack.
Thanks, Greg.
It's been fantastic to get Andrew Houlihan back on. A reminder too that we have daily coverage of the Dakar right here at speedcafe.com. Check back in tomorrow to see who our next guest on the grill is. As a part of this year's Summer Grill, our great partner in KTM each week has a special prize pack to give away, which includes a stool, a stubby holder, and a KTM hat. Very cool additions for your man cave, your garage, or just for around the barbecue. To enter, all you've got to do is head to speedcafe.com or click on the link description below, and you could be in the running. And check out, of course, tomorrow's next edition of the KTM Summer Grill right here at speedcafe.com.